We were 6 children, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. My father had a barber shop and my mother had a candy store. We had a very nice life. We had a very, very nice parents, and I had a lot of girlfriends. They told me that I was very outspoken. When my father had a lot of clients in the barber shop, he many times called me in and he told me to sing something, to entertain the clients who were there, you know. And I had a lot of friends, and we had like dolls to play with. And where we lived in the house, there was a veranda and some trees in the front. It was not far away was a river, and my mother took us to the river, and we were learning to swim. And so it was a very good life. My mother had a little candy store.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, she used to bake some things, and we used to make our own ice cream and candies, different things. Because with 6 children, it was not enough, you know, just the income from the barber shop. We were not rich, we were just like medium class. My father was a great reader, a great reader. They didn't have enough books in the library. You know, he used to love to read. My mother was mostly a housemaker. She was very busy with her little store, what she had, and with cooking and baking and doing. She was very, very busy. She was a wonderful mother. And all my sisters and brothers, they had some friends. And it was not like in a big city. The movie was only on a weekend. And there was not many things for entertainment. So we had to entertain ourselves. We kept a kosher home. The boys went to a Heder and they learned Hebrew. And the girls, we had a teacher, like an older man. He was not a regular teacher, an older man, and he came to our house like maybe twice a week. And he was teaching us the Hebrew, to write and to read. I still can't read Hebrew.
Did you celebrate holidays in your home?
Always. We celebrate holidays. We kept strict Passover and Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And my father had to work many times during the holidays. Not on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But otherwise he used to had to work on Shabbat. He had to work. My father opened another barber shop, and one of my brothers, the middle brother, became a barber also. And he worked with my father.
And your mother?
My mother had that little candy store.
And what happened then with your mother?
My mother passed away. If she wouldn't pass away suddenly, she was never one day in bed sick, never. She went to the store, she went a little shopping, she came back. She said she had a terrible headache and she got a brain hemorrhage. And the 3rd day she died. But if she wouldn't have died that time, she would be also going to Auschwitz together with us. We had next door gentle neighbors. We were very friendly with them. And they had 6 children. And somehow they got a horse and a wagon. And they told us, let's go together and run away. We didn't know where or what. So we were running away. And while we were running away, quite a distance, the Germans were already, the military was there, and they took away our horse, the horse, and we had to walk back for miles and miles and miles. We had to walk back to our house. The mayor from the city came to my father. He was very friendly with my father, and they told him that the men should go away somewhere. They should run. So my 3 brothers and many other Jewish men, they were some lawyers and not professional, all kinds of young men, you know. And they were running away in terrible conditions and hiding and hiding and hiding. You know, just the men, only the men were running away.
What did you think was going to happen?
You know, nobody knew. We were just like numb. We didn't know what goes on, where they are, how they. We didn't know anything where they are or what they're doing. We didn't know any till after the war.
What did you think would happen where you were?
Where we were, we didn't know either. We didn't know that it's going to be an action and people are going to be sent to Auschwitz. We didn't know anything. Until 1941, the Germans were there, and my father was not allowed to have customers, Gentile, only Jewish, which were very, very few, because they were Orthodox. They never went to a barber shop. So my father was in that a good position. They couldn't make money at all. And we didn't have no more the candy store. Nothing was allowed. We had to wear a star on our sleeves. And also we couldn't walk every street we wanted to walk. There was completely new rules started when the Germans were there. And we only could walk this street and not this street. And it was even dangerous, because one step you did wrong or something, they took you away, and we didn't know what they would do with you. It was a very, very bad situation, very dangerous situation.
Did you see any things happen, any people taken away? Or?
They took one time my father, who was like 62 years old that time, and they took him where the German officers were staying in a hotel in the same city, you know. So we were terribly scared. Who knows if he's going to come back or what? But he did come back, and he was supposed to clean their shoes. They're so high, this kind of. So he was there a few hours to do that kind of work, and then they let him go. So we're very happy that he came back. They all had to come to Sucha and go in that big schoolyard, and they were selecting the people, the older people. We didn't know what they were going to do with them, but they were just like taking the older people and not the really young people. And they needed 6 girls, that time we were young, to go in the school kitchen and slice bread for the people and prepare some coffee in some paper cups. And they picked me. And my father, I said, I'm not going. I didn't want to leave them and go away. But my father told me, you go, maybe you can help us. So I went there to where they prepared the bread and this. And I was there quite a long, long time. And I never saw my father and my sister anymore. They took them away. And when did I find out? After the war, I found out that they took them to Auschwitz in those trains which were like for animals, you know, this kind of trains. And we never saw them, we never heard from them, we never heard anything. And then the younger people, my sister didn't have to go because she didn't belong to the old people. But the people who were not taken, they told me that my sister was crying and carrying on so terrible that she wants to go with my father. She didn't know where, but she just wants to be with my father. I wasn't there. And so they told her, if you're not going to be quiet, then you go with him. And she went with him. So that's what happened with her. And those people who were left there, they were sent to concentration camps. We went like from one camp to a next camp. There were factories there where they make cotton, you know, from like straw, you know. This is that kind of straw that you make cotton for it. And they came in very big such balls, and we had to carry them and put them one on the top of the other. It was very, very hard work. And that's how we were working there. And our food was around between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. We got black coffee and a piece of bread. Nothing with the bread, nothing, just like that. And we were getting weak, no vitamins, no nothing, never. And we were going to work like 6 o'clock in the morning. And 12 o'clock, they brought us back where we were sleeping, where we were staying, and they gave us a bowl of soup. The soup was made from rotten potatoes because they were smelling so bad, or turnips or something like this, and nothing. We didn't see meat or fruit or sugar or butter or anything since 1941 till 1945. We didn't see anything like this. We went to the next camp, which was called Egelsberg.
And how long were you at the first camp?
I don't remember. Just maybe a year. I don't remember.
And how were you taken from the first?
We had to walk. We had to walk. It was not very far. It was pretty far away, but not that far. So we had to walk. And when we got there, we had like bunk beds with straw to lie down, no pillows, nothing. And we went like from Egelsberg to Reersdorf. That was also where they make the cotton there. And from Reersdorf, we had to walk very, very far. Miles and miles and miles. And a lot of girls died on the way going there. It was just terrible. I think it was January. It was very, very cold. They were all broken windows. We were just freezing. We were warming ourselves, just lying down, one next to the other, one on the other side, and it was very terrible, this camp. And there was, we didn't have factory work. There were other people also. We had to go to work to clean for the Yugoslavians and for some other prisoners, the rooms and everything. And then they gave us a lot of soup, like just watery soup. I remember I ate maybe 12 plates of soup because I was so hungry and so weak and everything. So I ate only the soup and soup and soup, and they gave us more and more. They had big pots of soup.
And were these other prisoners' rooms that you cleaned?
We were never together with other prisoners. We were only the Jewish prisoners. They were the ones from France, and we were from Poland. So we were there from January until July in that camp. Terrible condition. I got very sick there.
It was different from the other 3 camps?
Much worse than the worst camp was Krakow. We had to get up 3 o'clock in the morning and stand in a big line and wait for a little coffee and a piece of bread. And we were at that time we looked like dead people already. And I got sick. I had typhoid fever, and the big lice, were all over my clothes and everything. And they put me in the double bed, how you call it? The in a bunk bed. And they brought the same food, like the soup from the rotten potatoes and all that. And I couldn't eat. I probably had a very high temperature, I don't know. And all I wanted, I was just asking the water. So for a couple of weeks, I just drank water. And then we found out that was the end of the war almost. We found out that the Germans are running away. The Lagerführer, the one who were in charge of the camps, the Germans, they were running away, and we were left there by ourselves.
Did you have any medical treatment when you were
No
so sick?
medical treatments, no medicine, nothing. And the Russians took over there, the Russian military. So when the Russian military came, they took away houses from the Germans. Many German houses were empty. In fact, the Germans ran away by themselves also. They were afraid of the Russians.
Let's talk a little bit more about the different camps. Tell me more about what it was like in these camps.
In those camps, sometimes they took us in the kitchen, it picked out about 4 or 8 girls, and we had to peel potatoes and cut the turnips. And so sometimes we were stealing, like in the kitchen, we could eat even raw potatoes, even the peels from the potatoes. We were so hungry always. And
nobody was ever caught stealing?
No. Maybe they saw it and they just didn't want to see it, they just...
How did they treat you, the guards?
The guards, I wouldn't say they in some of the camps, especially in Krakow, but also in one of the other camps, we were like locked in. We never could go out or any place. So it was like a very, very big room with bunk beds. And we want to open the door, and it was like a hallway. And in the hallway, they had fresh water, you just turn it on, and we could have some cold water. Because in that room, we didn't even have water, nothing. So I got hit many times because I was always thirsty. I wanted to get some water. And I ran quickly just to take a little water in the paper cup. And when they saw me, they hit me in the head, And I didn't take the water, nothing. I just ran away. It was not a very good... they were not friendly with us. They didn't talk to us, nothing. They didn't ask us nothing. They didn't want to know anything. They just did what the Gestapo told them to do. And that's how we went in most of the camps. I had to polish with some shellac or something. I had to polish to help them something. And I was there also for a couple of months. And one of the carpenters was a very nice guy. He did talk to me, but he did talk to me very carefully that nobody would hear it, And he told me one time that he's gonna bring me, every day he's gonna bring me a sandwich, and he's gonna put the sandwich in the ladies' bathroom, and he told me what time I can go there and have the sandwich. And one time when I came out, one of the jailbirds, they saw me, and I had to go to a hearing. Now, that time I thought I'm going somewhere, not a good place. And they were asking me the questions and this, and I was just lucky they let me go. But I didn't work there no more. They put me back in the factory, and it was again very hard work and everything like that. They were Jewish girls working in the kitchen, like slicing bread or cooking the potatoes, what we got sometimes, some potatoes or something. And I had a silver chain from my father. It was his for his watch, but they used to have the man watch with a chain. And when everything in Poland was like in the air that something bad is going to happen, my father cut the watch in half and gave half to my sister and half to me. And in the camp, we were not allowed to have any jewelry, any gold, anything. But when you're so hungry and you suffer so much, I secretly showed the chain to one of the Jewish cooks.
Where did you keep it?
I had it like in between my legs, wrapped in a paper. And in that kitchen that time, there were all Jewish girls working there. I took it out and I showed it to her. And I told her, I give you a piece. She wanted the whole chain. It was not very, very long, but it was very long. I told her, I give you half of the chain if you give me some potatoes and some bread. She gave me 3 cooked potatoes, and she gave me a piece like maybe not quite a half pound bread. And I had to hide the bread also, and everything. And she cut it with a kitchen knife, the chain, and the other half she gave it to me. And I still had to hide it because I was not allowed to use it. And anyway, it was not long enough to use it because she took half of it. So again, I was holding it in between my legs and hiding until we got out from the camp. And I still have it. This is all I have from my house. The chain, and I had it made longer because I showed it to you. I'm going to show this later. It was just half. So while I was already in America, I went to where they sell the chains and all that, and they add a piece of the chain that I can use it. And this is the only thing I have from my house, from my parents, from anybody. The girls were not that sick, they were all weak and everything, but were not that sick. They were running to the German houses which were empty because some Germans ran away because the Russian military was there all over.
Do you remember the day that you were liberated?
Everyone went to their hometown, and I came to the hometown, and there was no Jewish people there.
Well, before you left the camp, were you still very sick?
No, not that sick, because we were there maybe a month in the German houses, and the Russian people were bringing us food, So at least a month we were there.
Who was with you?
They were like in my room. They were like 2 other girls. We slept in regular beds for the first time after all those years, since 1942. until 1945. We never slept in a bed or anything, so we could sleep there and we could walk around and talk to each other. I was first very, very sick. They brought me aspirin to take because I still had temperature and all that. But I got better there. So the other girls who were more healthy, they used to go in the German houses, and they were, I am not going to call it stealing, taking some clothes because we didn't have anything. I had the clothes with the lice, with all the, only what I had on me, you know. But I couldn't go. I was much too weak. I couldn't go nowhere. But some of the girls brought me a dress, and they were taking a lot of things from the German houses, you know. Some took fur coats and different things. Why not, you know? They deserved it. And I couldn't go to do anything. I had a lot of juice to drink and things, you know, like that. So it was like a heaven. It was like a heaven. And going home, I knew it's nobody there. You know.
How did you
I
know?
came by train.
How did you know that there was nobody there?
I knew because my brothers ran away, you know. My mother passed away. My father was taken away with one of my sisters. When I came home, I met a railroad worker who was working on that train where my father was, and he told me that they went to Auschwitz. He told me that they went to Auschwitz. He was the worker, you know, that they work on the train. Not work, but they, how you call it?
Conductor.
Conductor, yeah, like a conductor on the train. And he was very friendly with my father. My father had a lot of gentle friends because they all came to the barber shop. There was one barber shop in that place, you know, so everybody had to come to him. So he told me. And then I went to the house where we were living. There was no furniture there where we used to live. Everything was taken away. I didn't see nothing. So I didn't know what to do and where to go. So I went to some people who really were very, very friendly with my father, with us. I went there and they told me, you had to walk everywhere. There was no trolley cars or buses or anything.
And you were alone?
I was alone. And I went there and they told me I can stay with them. I can stay with them until I find somewhere a place. I was really not alone because there were quite a lot of girls from my hometown, and they all went to their houses where they used to live before and try. And some of the Gentile people were nice, and they took them in, you know. But some you couldn't even talk to. They didn't even want to see you or talk about it, nothing. So I found those people, and they were very nice, and they had a very nice house in a big garden. And I told them that I can sew, that maybe they have something to do for me. I don't want to just eat there and sit and be there for nothing, you know. So they found some stuff for me, and I remember I made her some aprons and a skirt and something, and they liked me very, very much. And they gave me some money, and I went to Krakow. I found out where my friend and some relatives, where they were. And in Krakow, also I went there. They already had like a Jewish comedy, you know. And I went there, and I told them, I don't know where my brothers are. I only don't know that my sister was in Germany, and that she's in America. My sister went in 1938, escaped from Germany to America. They had relatives here. And I got in touch with my sister, and she told me that there's gonna be some probability, you know, that maybe we can come to America. And in Krakow, I met I knew my husband from before the war. He's not far from where I am. In fact, he's from the same town where the Pope is. And that town was like 25 kilometers from Sucha, from where I am. And my husband, he used to have a kosher butcher store in Poland. And he used to come to Sucha to buy the cows, or I don't know what. And my mother, like I told you, she had like a candy store, and she baked cakes, and we used to sell coffee and tea and all that. And he used to always come to us to eat, you know. So I knew him, and I met him in Krakow. And I had some other, like some relatives, they were like third cousin or something. And they told me, you know, you two have to get married.
Were you just casually friendly with him before
Just,
the war?
He always liked me, you know, but he was married before. He was 10 years older than I was. And he had one child before the war, and they all was taken to Auschwitz. They all were taken. So he was like just by himself. And he was very anxious to marry me. And since I didn't have nobody, nowhere, nothing, we got married in Krakow. And somehow there was arranged, or later through the Jewish committee, that we went to Austria. They had there like displaced person camps in Austria. We arrived by plane because I had a 3-month-old baby, and people with little babies and people over 70 could go by plane. So we went by plane. I was sick on the plane all the time. My husband was not sick, and Mark slept through all that time. I think it took about 24 hours because we had to stop in different places. So it took a very, very long time. But we arrived in New York, and my sister and my brother-in-law were at the airport, and with a car, and we came to my sister's place because my sister was here since 1938.
And what city did she live in?
Philadelphia. That's why we came to Philadelphia. We came to Philadelphia. There are some people who do not believe that all that was happening. There are other people who don't want to know, they don't want to know. And I want that this be repeated always for the generations now and for the future generations. Everybody should know what was happening, what people went through. And this is very important for me. This is very important for me. Till 1945, it was worse than animals. That was our life. And I don't even want to talk about it. Now I have to talk about it. But I don't want to remember too much about it, because coming out from the concentration camp, I had the typhoid fever. I was beaten on my head and my body and everything. I developed a horrible pain in my head. which I went to so many doctors right after, even in Austria when we were in the displaced person camp. I went to a doctor there, and he told me that there's nothing really very bad physically with me. I have to see a psychiatrist. And in Austria, I went to a psychiatrist. They sent me for water exercise, something I had to go first in cold water, then little warmer, little warmer, little warmer. They were massaging my body there, and nothing was helping me. I came to America in 1949 in November, and I never stopped to have this problem with my head. In the beginning of 1950s, I was in the psychiatric hospital in Philadelphia because of my head. Physically, I was all right, but because of the head. And I was there, I don't remember exactly how long, 2 months or they don't keep you that very long if you don't have too much money. And we didn't pay anything because through the Jewish Family Service or some kind of organization, I was there for nothing. And there I got shock treatments, all because of my head. When I came out from there, I still had the same problem. And I went to many psychiatrists here in Philadelphia. There's Dr. Adler, who is on Parkway, I think 1600 or 1700 Parkway, Dr. Herbert Adler, and I went to him for 20 years, and he never took money from me. When I told him some of the story which I went through in my life for such a long time, he never took money from me. This is my son, Mark. In 3 days, it's going to be his 47th birthday. He came to America when he was 3 months old.
Well, I guess I just would like to thank you for doing this project, and I feel it's very important. I'm just not prepared to talk a lot right now, but I would like to express my thanks to you for doing this.